Royal BC Museum and BC Archives safely stores thousands of collections relating to human history, zoology, archaeology, and botany, among others. And in the botany collection are plants that survive by stealing nutrients from other plants or even eating animals. Veronica Cooper has more.
Here's a specimen collected in 1896 from Beacon Hill Park.
As curator of botany at the Royal BC Museum, Ken Marr is proud of the remarkable plant collection, which includes parasitic plants.
So a lot of plants get their sugar through photosynthesis, but these plants, most of them get their nutrients from stealing the sugar from other plants. And sometimes they actually steal their nutrients from animals and they kill those animals.
Most of us have heard of the Venus flytrap, but have you heard of dodder?
It's a plant that doesn't actually come in contact with the ground. It just twines itself around other species of plants and it absorbs its nutrients from those other species. Mostly the large plant you see here is the host plant. And then there's these tiny little threads twining around it, and then there's these clusters of flowers, actually. Those are the flowers of the dodder plant, not the host plant. A single stem, branching stem has been measured to be up to a half a mile long.
And then there's bladderwort.
It's an aquatic plant. It's got these underwater leaves, and then it's got this one stalk that comes up with flowers. These tiny little lumps here, these little larger structures here are bladders of aquatic insect or other small animal going past it. Triggers this little hair, and the vacuum sucks the insect or tiny little aquatic animal into it. There's digestive enzymes on glands inside the bladder, and eventually the water is expelled and the insect or the other little animal is digested. Related to the bladderwort, actually, is a plant called butterwort. This plant, it's got green leaves, it's photosynthetic, it grows in bogs, wet areas, a beautiful flower, and it's a little bit like the Venus flytrap. It also has sticky cells on the leaves, and insects get trapped in those cells and get digested as well. And here's a note just saying the population from which these plants were collected is now extirpated. This plant no longer grows along the Pat Day Highway. That was collected in 1954.
The plant is paintbrush.
This is a plant that used to be widespread on southern Vancouver Island, and now it's been totally extirpated. There is a population going on Trial Island. The really cool thing about paintbrushes is they have underground connections with the roots of other species. So not only is it getting sugar and nutrients, it's also getting these poisonous compounds that protect it from being eaten. But those poisonous compounds are not made by the paintbrush plant, it's made by the plant that it's connected to underground.
Mistletoe is also parasitic.
If you're walking through the forest and you see normal layers of branches, your typical thing, and then you see big clumps of branches all growing together and all interwoven, probably it's infected with mistletoe. You can see this swelling on the stem here, so again it grew some root-like structures into the stem tissue of the tree, and it caused the stem tissue to swell up and become abnormal. This swelling is really tender tissue that squirrels love to eat. It's just a shout out to Job Kite, who's the world specialist on mistletoes. He's written this book called The Biology of Parasitic Flowering Plants, and Job retired and lives here in Victoria. Beautifully illustrated. He was borrowing specimens from all over the world, and their herbarium had to put out the loan requests, and he would use them and then send them back.
One of the many resources Marr refers to during his research on parasitic plants.
This Week in History, brought to you by the Royal BC Museum, bringing British Columbia's stories together.